ශ්‍රී ලංකාවේ ප්‍රථම වරට SLT 4G වෙතින් දැන් Pure TV නරඹන්න. ඉදිරියටම ගෙන යන SLT 4G.
ලෙන්ගතුකම වැඩි කරගන්න ලව්ජු රුපියල් 50ට අඩු කළා.
මාමේ එන්න අපිට එකක් බොමු.
Tonight, the end of an era. Sibyl Vettasinghe, Sri Lanka's iconic children's literary giant, passes away at 93. No uncertain terms. Former central bank governor says current MCC agreement would never have passed through a Rajapaksa government. Special dispensation. Cinnamon Grand Bombers preferential treatment at Industrial Development Board under Badiuddin exposed. Up in arms. Colombo port staff in uproar over gantry crane issue as strike threatened over inaction. All this and much more coming up on this Wednesday, the 1st of July 2020.
From AdaDerana, this is AdaDerana First at 9.
Nava sunlight sakura. Then Dikukal pavathina sakura mal suwandin.
Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening, this is First at 9. I'm Shinala Fernando in your top stories for tonight. Veteran children's author and illustrator Sibyl Vettasinghe, who is fondly known as Sibyl Nanda in Sri Lanka, passed away last night at the age of 93. Sibyl Vettasinghe had a unique style of art and storytelling that made her a guiding light for children's literature in Sri Lanka and the most influential children's author in the country.
Born on October 31st, 1928 in Gintota, Galle, Sibyl Vettasinghe spent 70 years of her life writing and illustrating books for children that were treasured by generations of the nation's kids. The internationally acclaimed children's author entered the Guinness Book of World Records in March this year for a book with the most number of alternative endings. The 93-year-old grandmother of 5, who shaped the imagination of generations, began writing books with the objective of encouraging kids to use their imagination while exploring their creativity. Wonder Crystal was the first of its kind, with 1,250 completed alternative endings written by kids of Sri Lanka. She has published about 200 children's storybooks over the course of her career, and most of her books have been translated into languages such as Japanese, Chinese, Swedish, Norwegian, Danish, English, Korean, Dutch, and Tamil. Her story writing career began with The Umbrella Thief, also known as Kudahora, a narrative she developed for the singular paper Janata in 1952, which laid the foundation for her prolific career. In 1992, Japan honored Sibyl Vettasinghe with the prestigious award, recognizing her services as an author, and her memoir The Child in Me won the Gratian Award in 1995. Sibyl Vettasinghe, who is a mother of 4, passed away last night while receiving treatment in hospital. Her remains were brought to her home in Papaliana this afternoon and will be placed at a private funeral home in Boralla for public respects from noon tomorrow. The funeral will take place at the Boralla Cemetery on Friday, the 3rd, at 3 p.m.
Former central bank governor Ajit Nivard Cabral calls it wrong to say that the current status of the Millennium Challenge Corporation Agreement is based on discussions held in 2006 under the then government of Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa. Responding to allegations, the former CBSL governor says that certain terms and conditions included in the current compact would have never been agreed to by a government of Mahinda Rajapaksa.
The MCC was brought up during 2004 as an aid that was going to be given to Sri Lanka. And the projects were being discussed in 2005 and 2006 as to what would constitute the components of the agreement between the MCC and Sri Lanka. At that time, there was no discussion whatsoever about what terms and conditions would be there in that agreement. The discussion centered around restoring the irrigation networks in Sri Lanka, upgrading of roads, and support for the small and medium sector enterprises of Sri Lanka. Discussions were only along those lines. During the time of President Mahinda Rajapaksa, I have also participated in several discussions, including negotiations with the Tamil Tigers in Geneva in February 2006, as well as with the IMF in 2007 and 2008. And in all those discussions, not a single clause that could be detrimental to Sri Lanka was agreed to by that government. It was wrong to mention that MCC agreement, as it is now, which has been agreed to by the Yahapalana government, was based on the discussions that were held in 2006 by the then Mahinda Rajapaksa government. There was no relevance whatsoever. The components were entirely different, and the terms and conditions, some of them that have been included within that compact, would have never been agreed to by a government of Mahinda Rajapaksa.
The Presidential Commission of Inquiry investigating the Easter Sunday attacks heard evidence of discrepancies in the handing out of scrap metal quotas by the Industrial Development Board during the tenure of former Minister of Industry and Commerce Rishad Padiuddin. The Commission was told of how Colossus Private Limited, the company owned by Cinnamon Grand bomber Insaf Ahmed, received special treatment in the form of vast access to scrap metal supposed to be allocated to SME manufacturers. This was revealed by the Marketing Director of the Industrial Development Board, Sarat Udesiri, who told the Commission of how the Waste Management Unit was taken away from under his purview in order to implement such illegal deals.
The Presidential Commission of Inquiry probing the Easter Sunday attacks yesterday recorded evidence from the Marketing Director of the Industrial Development Board, Sarat Udesiri. The witness was summoned to testify with regards to the high quotas of waste metals that were provided through the Industrial Development Board to Colossus Private Limited, the company owned by Cinnamon Grand bomber Mohammad Ibrahim Insaf Ahmed. The witness told the Commission that during former Minister Rishad Padiuddin's tenure as Minister of Industries and Commerce between 2015 and 2019, he had installed Mahinda Jinasena as the chairman of the Industrial Development Board. He added that the Waste Management Unit that oversaw the distribution of waste metal to small and medium industries came under the purview of the Director of Marketing. The Commission was told that on 17 May 2017, the administration of the Waste Management Unit was transferred under the purview of a Deputy Director on the orders of the Chairman, Mahinda Jinasena. The witness added that with the administrative duties of the Waste Management Unit having been transferred under one of his subordinates, namely Deputy Director DPS Dikwella, no explanation was given to him as to the reason for the transfer. He added that the allocation of waste metals to Colossus Private Limited in 2017 and 2018 had been carried out in contravention of guidelines issued in 2013 for this purpose. Furthermore, he revealed that although instructions were only given to provide Colossus with copper waste in 2017, a total of 328 transformers and 16,856 kilograms of spent brass shells from the army were given to the company for the extraction of copper. In addition, he revealed that in 2018, the Waste Management Unit of the Industrial Development Board had provided Colossus a total of 150 metric tons of copper, 100 metric tons of brass, and 50 metric tons of aluminium. The Commission was told that Colossus manufactured 3 types of materials and the total monthly value of its output was 153.2 million rupees. The witness added that the provision of waste material to the company was carried out in an illegal manner. He pointed out that the supply of waste materials to Colossus was in violation of the institution's guidelines, as Colossus's revenue at the time exceeded that of any small and medium enterprise. Meanwhile, the Colombo Fort Magistrate today rejected a request by lawyers representing detained lawyer Hejaz Hizbullah to present their client in court. Colombo Fort Magistrate Ranga Dissanayake stated that he had no provisions to order a suspect arrested under the Prevention of Terrorism Act and detained under a detention order issued by the Defence Secretary to be produced in court.
The Trade Union for the Protection of the East Container Terminal has alleged that authorities have failed to unload a $25.7 million of 3 gantry cranes shipped in for Phase 5 of the proposed Jaya Container Terminal at the Colombo Port, which has resulted in demurrage payments of 103.4 million rupees. Colombo Port Trade Union have also threatened trade union action if authorities fail to provide an immediate solution to this issue. The Shinwa 28, a ship carrying 3 gantry cranes worth $25.7 million, imported from China's ZPMC for Phase 5 of the proposed Jaya Container Terminal at the Colombo Port, has arrived at the Eastern Terminal on the 20th of June. However, the Trade Union for the Protection of East Container Terminal of the Colombo Port accuses the authorities of not taking necessary measures to unload the 3 gantry cranes used for the unloading and loading of containers from and onto vessels. Addressing a media briefing yesterday, they said that as a result, a demurrage of 103.4 million has to be paid for the past 11 days since the ship's arrival. Pointing out that these cranes were imported for a terminal that has not been built yet, the trade unions called for the cranes to be set up at the East Container Terminal and to commence operations. Authorities, however, attempted to unload the cranes from the vessel yesterday but have backed out. 3 members of the trade union climbed onto the cranes on the ship this afternoon in a move to protest these actions by the authorities. The trade unions also threatened trade union action if authorities fail to come up with an immediate solution in this regard. We'll return with more news after this short commercial break. Stay tuned. Welcome back. In more news, the head of Traffic Police DIG Ajit Rohana revealed that 3 CID teams have been deployed to conduct investigations with regard to 5 police officers arrested for links to the 225 kilograms of heroin seized recently. In the meantime, a 32-year-old woman was arrested with a stock of weapons hidden at a house in Pitipana today. Officers of the Homagama police station conducted a search operation in a house located in the area of Pitipana under the directives of the Homagama Superintendent of Police. During the operation, police were able to recover 7 hand grenades, 77 9mm bullets, a repeater shotgun, 4 rounds of ammunition, 2 bulletproof vests and 4 more unidentified cartridges hidden inside the house. The police have arrested a 32-year-old woman who is a resident of the house. Investigations reveal that the suspect has been identified as the mistress of a suspect named Kaushalya, arrested over the recent discovery of a weapon stash hidden in a store of a wholesale outlet in Pitipana. Further investigations are underway in this regard. In another development, the organised crime unit of the Police Special Task Force arrested an accomplice of a drug racketeer Gagana in Aravula, Maharagama. Furthermore, 2 more suspects have also been apprehended. The arrested also include an army deserter and an intelligence officer. During the raid, 5 sets of forged deeds and 21 official seals of government officials, including that of the Additional Land Commissioner, were also seized. In the meantime, the police have launched a special operation to locate a police inspector involved in seizing 225 kilograms of heroin in Valisara recently. Furthermore, 5 police officers arrested in this regard were revealed to have been involved in drug racketeering.
මේ දූෂිත නිලධාරීන් විසින් යම් ආකාරයකට මේ මද්ද්‍රව්‍ය ජාවාරමට වක්‍රව සම්බන්ධ වෙලා තිබෙන බවට අපිට තොරතුරු අනාවරණය වුණ අපරාධ පරීක්ෂණ දෙපාර්තමේන්තුවේ විමර්ශනයෙන් ඒ අනුව මේ නිලධාරීන් බාරේ තිබුණු මේ සඳහා උපයෝගී කරගත්ත වෑන් රථ 2ක් ඒ වගේම පජරෝ ජීප් රථයක් අපරාධ පරීක්ෂණ දෙපාර්තමේන්තුව බාරයට ගනු ලැබුවා. ඒ විතරක් නෙමෙයි රුපියල් 3 කෝටි 12 ලක්ෂයකට අදාළ මුදලක් අපරාධ පරීක්ෂණ දෙපාර්තමේන්තුව බාරයට ගනු ලැබුවා. එපමණක් නොමේ මේ පුද්ගලයන් විසින් මේ නිලධාරීන් 4 දෙනා ඒ වගේම මීට අදාළ අය විසින් යම් යම් ප්‍රදේශවලදී මිලදීගෙන තිබිච්ච අක්කර 10කට ආසන්න ඉඩම් ප්‍රමාණයක් අපි తాවකාලිකව ඒවා තහනමට ලක් කරලා තියෙනවා. ඒ වගේම ස්වර්ණාභරණ පවුම් 20ක් පමණ සහ මේ අපරාධ පරීක්ෂණ දෙපාර්තමේන්තුව බාරයට ගෙන තිබෙනවා. තවදුරටත් විශේෂ කණ්ඩායම් 3ක් අපරාධ පරීක්ෂණ දෙපාර්තමේන්තුවේ මේ විමර්ශනය කරනවා. නිලධාරීන් 25 දෙනෙක් පමණ අපරාධ පරීක්ෂණ දෙපාර්තමේන්තුවේ මේ විමර්ශනය සඳහා දායකත්වය ලබා දීලා තියෙනවා. අපි ගිනියාවේ 5ක් සම්බන්ධව පරීක්ෂණ පවත්වනවා. මේ කුඩු හොයාගත්ත ප්‍රමාණයන් පිළිබඳව දැන් අපි අපරාධ පරීක්ෂණ දෙපාර්තමේන්තුව විමර්ශනය කරන්නේ. ඒ ඔබ කියනවා වගේ ගැන ප්‍රශ්නාර්ථයක් තියෙනවා. දැනට අනාවරණය වෙලා තියෙන්නේ මේ රුපියල් මේ ගිණුම් 3ේම රුපියල් මිලියන 3කට ආසන්න ප්‍රමාණයක්. ඉතින් ඒක සාමාන්‍ය මාර්ලාවට තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. අපිට එම තාම ආරංචියක් නැහැ. ඔහුට විදේශ රටවල් වලට යාම වහනම් නියෝගයක් ලබාගෙන තියෙනවා.
With Sri Lanka gradually moving towards normalcy, medical experts are warning the public to take steps to prevent making the same mistakes made by other countries facing second waves after reopening. Chief Epidemiologist of the Epidemiology Unit, Dr. Sudat Samravira, urged the public to continue to maintain health and safety protocols in order to prevent such a disaster from striking the country and undoing the success of the country's health professionals. In the meantime, the Ministry of Education has granted permission for preschool and grade 1 and 2 students at government schools to reopen from the 10th of August.
Coronavirus recoveries in Sri Lanka spiked up to 1,748, following 37 patients recovering and being discharged from the hospital. With that, total active cases in the country now stand at 294. Furthermore, 6 more naval personnel recovered from the virus, bringing naval recoveries up to 842. In the meantime, 5 foreign arrivals from Oman, currently undergoing quarantine, tested positive for COVID-19 yesterday. As the government's repatriation process continues, 559 Sri Lankans stranded in Qatar and Dubai were brought back to the island yesterday and during the early hours of today. All arrivals brought back to the island were subjected to PCR tests at the airport premises. Meanwhile, all patients who had been receiving treatment at the COVID-19 treatment unit of the Hambantota General Hospital have been discharged as of today. In the meantime, the government has decided to allow the reopening of the country's stage drama and performance theatres from the 15th of this month. However, permission has only been granted for 50% of the theatre's full capacities. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Education has granted permission to open preschools and government schools for grade 1 and 2 students from 10th August. In a separate development, a total of 162 people who were not wearing face masks in public have been detained and subjected to mandatory 14-day self-quarantine during the last 24 hours ending at 5 a.m. today.
රටවල් වල රෝග තත්ත්වය යම්කිසි මට්ටමකට පාලනය වෙනකොට ඔවුන්ගේ රටවල් වල තිබිච්ච සීමාවන් ලිහිල් කිරීම සිදු කළා. ඒ තුලින් ඔවුන් දැක්ක නැවත වතාවක් දෙවන රැල්ලක් ඇති වෙනවා. ඒ දෙවන රැල්ල ඇතිවීමට ප්‍රධානම හේතු වුණේ ඒ සීමාවල් ලිහිල් කිරීමත් සමග ජනතාව අවශ්‍ය සෞඛ්‍ය පුරුදු අනුගමනය නොකිරීම. ඉතින් ඒ තත්ත්වයක් යටතේදී ලංකාවෙත් අපේ තිබිච්ච සීමාවල් දැන් ලිහිල් කරලා තියෙනමින් සහ ලිහිල් කිරීම දිගින් දිගටම සිදු කිරීමෙන් පවතින නිසා ඒ තත්ත්වය යටතේ යම්කිසි විදියකින් අපේ සමාජය තුළ රෝගීන් හිටියොත් ඒ පැතිරිලා නැවතත් රැල්ලක් ඇතිවීමේ අවදානම ඒ විදියටම තියෙනවා. ඒ නිසා මීටර එක පරතරය පවත්වා ගැනීම පළමුවත් දෙවනුව ජනාකීර්ණ අවස්ථාවලදී මුඛාවරණ පැළඳීමත් ඉතාමත්ම වැදගත් වෙනවා. ඒ වගේම නිතර මත සබන් යොදා සේදීම ඉතාමත් වැදගත්. මෙයත් මතකයෙන් ගිලිහීමින් පවතින බව අපිට සමහර අවස්ථාවලදී අපිට දකින්න ලැබෙනවා. සබන් යොදා සේදීමට අවස්ථාවක් නැති අවස්ථාවලදී ඇල්කොහොල් අඩංගු ද්‍රාවණයකින් අත පිරිසුදු කිරීම ඉතාමත්ම වැදගත් වෙනවා. ඒ වගේම කැස්සසෙන් ප්‍රතිශාව තියෙන කෙනෙක් සමාජයට පැමිණෙන්නේ නැතුව ගෙදරට වෙලා ඉන්නවා නම් ඒ වගේම තමුන්ට කැස්සක් එනවා නම් කිඹුමක් යනවා නම් සෞඛ්‍ය ආරක්ෂිතව මුහුණ දෙනවා නම් අපිට පුළුවන් වෙනවා දෙවෙනි රැල්ලක් ඇති වෙන එක වළක්වලා අපි ලබාගත්තු පාලනය ඉතාමත්ම හොඳින් පවත්වාගෙන යන්න.
කොරෝනා වෛරසයේ පැතිරීම වළක්වන්න සබන් යොදා දෑත් සෝදන්න.
Former World Cup winning captain Arjuna Ranatunga says that although the match-fixing probe should be properly investigated, the investigators should take care to avoid tarnishing the country's name by involving all national players in the issue. He made these comments as the Special Investigation Unit recorded statements from Aravinda De Silva yesterday, Upul Taranga today, and is expected to record a statement from Kumar Sangakkara tomorrow.
Former Sri Lanka cricket captain Aravinda De Silva, who was the chairman of the selection committee during the 2011 Cricket World Cup, arrived yesterday at the Special Investigation Unit of the Ministry of Sports to record his statement with regard to the match-fixing probe. He left the premises after almost 6 hours yesterday.
ඒක දන්නේ ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ ඉන්ක්වයරි එක යනවා ඒක ඉවර වෙනකන් අපි දැනට මොකුත් කතා කරන්න එපා කියලා තියෙනවා. ඒ ආවරණ මේ ප්‍රොසෙස් කරලා තියෙනවා මේ වෙනකොට යවපු දෙන්න අමතුවරයාගේ ලේකම්තුමාගේ අවසරය ඇතුව ඇව්වේ කියලා ලිපියේ. ඉතින් අමතුමා කියනවා එයා කිසිම දෙයක් දන්නවත් නෙවෙයි හිටියේ කියලා. උත්තරේ අපි දුන්නා ඒක ඔක්කොම ඔයගොල්ලන්ට දැනගන්න හම්බ වෙයි ඉන්ක්වයරි එකෙන් පස්සේ.
In the meantime, the investigation unit also summoned Upul Taranga, who represented the team during the 2011 Cricket World Cup, to obtain his statement. In another development, the Special Investigation Unit has also informed Kumar Sangakkara, who captained the cricket team during the 2011 World Cup, to arrive at the Ministry of Sports to provide his statement. Meanwhile, the former World Cup winning cricket captain Arjuna Ranatunga also commented on the match-fixing allegations.
මේ රටේ මොකදෙනෙක් ඔය ක්‍රීඩා තරඟය ගැන අයට ප්‍රශ්න තිබුණා. මම දන්නේ නැහැ මොකද ඇත්ත තත්ත්වය කියලා. හැබැයි ක්‍රීඩකයෝ එහෙම දෙයක් කරලා තියෙනවා නම් පරීක්ෂණයක් කරන එක හොඳයි. පරීක්ෂණ කරලා වර්ධිකාරයට දඬුවම් දෙන්න ඕනේ. හැබැයි හැම ක්‍රීඩකයම මේවට ගාවගෙන රටට අපේ කීර්තියක් ලබා දෙන්න එපා. මෙව්ව කරන්න තිබ්බේ අවුරුදු ගානකට ඉස්සෙල්ලා
in business news, investment firm First Capital says that the central bank is likely to impose a further 100 basis point rate cut in order to dissuade banks from using the standing deposit facility rate to park excess liquidity instead of lending.
Investment entity First Capital Holdings says that there is a 40% probability of the central bank implementing a 100 basis point rate cut in the near future in order to bring its rate closer to the 4% special working capital lending rate, which should dissuade licensed commercial banks from using the standing deposit facility rate. The company says that with the recent reduction of the statutory reserve ratio by 2%, the liquidity position has surged to over 200 billion rupees, and the bulk of the excess liquidity of banks is likely to be parked in the SDFR facility provided by the central bank at 5.5% rather than allocating it for lending. To dissuade banks from keeping excess money with the CBSL without lending, the research firm believes that the central bank has to reduce its policy rate substantially, both the SDFR, which is the rate at which commercial banks can keep overnight liquidity with the central bank, and the SLFR as a stimulus to boost credit growth. With the recent reduction of the SRR, an additional 115 billion rupees of liquidity was injected into the banking system, allowing banks to accelerate credit flows into the economy while reducing cost of funds. First Capital Research says that it expects a top-up of 100 billion rupees in the existing refinance scheme, which may enhance additional liquidity to the domestic money market above 250 billion rupees. As a result of injection of liquidity to the system, the central bank's holdings recorded a significant increase of more than 200 billion rupees since 13th March 2020. In this scenario, First Capital Research believes that the central bank has three options to consider. The first is that a policy rate cut in both SDFR and SLFR is one of the convenient tools available for the central bank to boost lending in the economy, while encouraging the public to borrow at a further low market interest rate. A second option cited is that the central bank needs to impose restrictions on its liquidity window in order to discourage banks from using the SDFR facility in order to park excess liquidity. Meanwhile, the third option is a credit guarantee scheme, where the Treasury acts as the guarantor for loans given out by the banks. However, the company says that this provision needs to be included in the current year or subsequent year's budget of the government, resulting in a further increase in the budget deficit. The research firm believes that there is a high likelihood of 90% that the central bank may provide a rate cut to ensure the continued supply of credit at a low cost of funding.
The central bank's inflation report for the month of June has reported another drop in headline inflation to 3.9%. Inflation dropped last month as well and was recorded at 4% last in May of this year. The report says that the drop was solely driven by the statistical effect of the high base that prevailed in June 2019.
The central bank's June inflation report has recorded a drop in headline inflation as measured by the year-on-year change in the Colombo Consumer Price Index to 3.9% in June 2020 from 4% in May 2020. The report says that the drop was solely driven by the statistical effect of the high base that prevailed in June 2019. Accordingly, food inflation increased to 10% in June 2020 from 9.9% in May. Meanwhile, non-food inflation declined to 1.4% in June from 1.6% in May 2020. The change in the CCPI measured on an annual average basis remained unchanged at 4.7% in June 2020. The report cited price increases observed in the items of the food category as the reason for the monthly CCPI change recorded at 0.8%. Within the food category, prices of vegetables and fish recorded increases for the month. Meanwhile, prices of items in the non-food category recorded marginal increases in June. Year-on-year co-inflation, which reflects the underlying inflation in the economy, increased to 3.1% in June 2020 from 2.9% in May. Meanwhile, annual average co-inflation declined further to a 13-month low of 4.2% in June from 4.4% in May.
The Colombo All-Share Price Index gained 0.08% or 4.34 points to reach 5,153.91 in the first half hour of trade. The S&P SL20 index of more liquid stocks fell 0.02% or 0.53 points to close at 2,269.30. Market turnover was 41.8 million rupees, with 38 stocks gaining and 16 falling. Sri Lanka Telecom contributed highest to the ASPI's gain, opening 40 cents higher at 29 rupees and 30 cents a share. Here's a brief report on how the market fared throughout trading today.
Today the SPI index ended broadly flat and if you take the S&P SL20 was down by about 10 points. However, this is the third consecutive day the market has been marginally negative, and we've seen a stagnant performance over the last 5 to 6 days. So if you take the day to day, we saw a lot of volatility in the index. The start of the day there was a bit of a stagnant market conditions. After that we saw a bit of a spike in the market with a lot of buying interest entering. However, towards the end of the day, all the profits that were gained were erased, with the market moving down a bit and closing the day being broadly flat. If you take specific stocks, we saw the market moving into more mid-cap, and in addition to that, the traditional blue chips also had a lot of turnover levels in them. John Case Holdings, Commercial, HNB, Sampath all had a lot of interest. However, there was a bit of selling pressure in those counters, mainly because of profit taking with huge gains over the last couple of weeks. So we saw a shift in the investors this week. Turnover levels were very healthy, again over ₹1 billion of turnover. We saw a net foreign outflow continuing for today as well, so around ₹250 million of foreign outflow, mainly coming in John Keel's Holdings, Tokyo non-voting, that sort of counters. Overall, year-to-date net foreign outflow is now closing in on ₹21 billion.
The Sri Lankan rupee ended flat today to remain at ₹186 and 22.30 cents to the US dollar in the spot market. Let's now take a look at how the currency fared against other major currencies today. More news on the other side of this break. Stay tuned. And that's a wrap from here at First at 9. Thank you for joining. I'm Shanella Fernando. Good night.